I came home from celebrating my PhD graduation with friends to find my diploma burning in the fireplace. The heavy cream paper with gold embossing was curling at the edges, my name, Dr. Samantha Reese, disappearing into ash and smoke. "What are you doing?" I screamed, lunging toward the fireplace. My mother stepped between me and the flames, her face set in that familiar expression of righteous determination. "Smart women make terrible wives," she said calmly. "No man wants a know-it-all." I stared at her, then at my father, who was nodding approvingly from his recliner. "Your sister's engagement is more important than your education, Samantha. We need to focus on what really matters." The flames consumed the last corner of my doctorate in biochemistry, 6 years of research, countless sleepless nights, the culmination of everything I'd worked toward since I was 18 years old. Gone. "That was my PhD diploma," I whispered. "That was a piece of paper that was going to ruin your chances of happiness," Mom replied, dusting ash off her hands. "Men are intimidated by women who think they're smarter than everyone else. I don't think I'm smarter than everyone. I earned a doctorate in biochemistry." "Same thing," Dad grunted, not looking up from his newspaper. "Your sister found herself a good man who can provide for her. She didn't need to spend 8 years in school to do it." My sister Melissa appeared in the doorway, wearing the engagement ring she'd been flashing around for 3 weeks. "Sam, you're being dramatic. It's just a diploma. You still have your degree." "The diploma is proof of my degree. You can get a replacement," Mom said dismissively. "Though I'd rather you didn't. Brad was asking about you at dinner last night." Brad, my mother's friend's son who dropped out of community college and worked at his father's used car lot. Brad, who'd asked me out 5 times and couldn't understand why I kept saying no. "I'm not interested in Brad." "You should be. He's got a good job, comes from a nice family, and he's looking for a wife. But he specifically said he doesn't want some college girl who thinks she's too good for him." I looked around the living room, at the family photos covering every surface, most of them featuring Melissa in various stages of traditional feminine achievement. Prom queen, beauty pageant winner, sorority president, and now engaged to a man she'd met at church who sold insurance and wanted a stay-at-home wife. There were no photos of my academic achievements, no pictures from my graduation ceremony, my research presentations, my published papers. Nothing that acknowledged I existed as anything other than Melissa's disappointing older sister. "I spent 6 years earning my PhD," I said quietly. "And what has it gotten you?" Mom demanded. "You're 30 years old, unmarried, with no prospects. Meanwhile, Melissa is 26 and planning her wedding. My PhD got me a job offer at the National Institutes of Health. I'm going to be researching cancer treatments." "Cancer research doesn't cuddle you at night," Dad said, folding his newspaper with finality. "It doesn't give you children or a home to take care of." "Maybe I don't want children right now. Maybe I want to help save lives." "Save lives?" Mom laughed, actually laughed. "Samantha, you're not saving anyone. You're hiding in a laboratory because you're too proud to admit that what every woman really wants is a family." I stared at the fireplace where the last traces of my diploma were turning to ash. 8 years of undergraduate and graduate work, reduced to smoke because my parents believed my education was an obstacle to marriage. "I'm moving out," I said. "Don't be ridiculous," Mom snapped. "You can't afford your own place on a student stipend." "I'm not a student anymore. I'm Dr. Samantha Reese, and I have a job offer that pays $95,000 a year." The room went quiet. "That's not possible," Dad said slowly. "It's very possible. I accepted the position this afternoon. I start in 2 weeks." Mom's face went through several expressions before settling on suspicious anger. "You're lying." I pulled out my phone and showed them the email from Dr. Patricia Martinez at the NIH. The subject line read, "Welcome to the Cancer Research Division. Employment offer acceptance confirmed." Dad leaned forward to read it, his expression shifting from skepticism to confusion to something that might have been respect. $95,000, he repeated. Starting salary. With performance bonuses and research grants, it could be significantly higher. Mom snatched the phone from my hands, reading the email herself. This doesn't change anything. Money isn't everything, Samantha. What about your biological clock? What about giving us grandchildren? What about letting me live my own life? We are your family, Melissa said from the doorway. We want what's best for you." "No," I replied, looking at each of them. You want what makes you comfortable. You want me to fit into the same box that worked for you, regardless of what I want or what I'm capable of. I walked upstairs to my childhood bedroom and started packing. Everything I'd brought home for the graduation celebration, plus anything else I couldn't bear to leave behind. My research journals, my laptop, my certificates and awards from undergraduate school. As I packed, I could hear them arguing downstairs. $95,000, Margaret, Dad was saying. That's more than I make. Money isn't everything, Robert. What happens when she's 40 and alone? When all her friends have families and she's got nothing but test tubes and microscopes. Maybe she'll be happy with test tubes and microscopes, Dad said quietly, and I realized it was the first time he'd ever defended my choices. Happy? Robert, she's a woman. Women aren't happy without families. That's when I heard Melissa speak up. Mom, maybe Sam knows what she wants better than we do. Melissa, not you too. I'm just saying, $95,000 is a lot of money. And if she's helping cure cancer. She's not curing cancer, Mom snapped. She's wasting her life on some fantasy because she's too stubborn to admit that her education was a mistake. I finished packing and carried my suitcases downstairs. My family was still arguing in the living room, my burned diploma now just ash in the fireplace. I'll be in touch, I said, heading for the door. Samantha, wait, Dad called out. Maybe we were too hasty about the diploma. You burned my PhD diploma because you thought it would hurt my marriage prospects. There's no too hasty about that. That was deliberate destruction of something I earned through years of hard work. We can help you get a replacement, Mom offered, though her tone suggested she thought I was being unreasonable. You can't replace what this meant to me. But that's okay. I'll get a new one, and I'll hang it in my office at the National Institutes of Health. I left them standing in the living room and drove straight to my graduate advisor's house. Dr. Jennifer Walsh answered the door in her pajamas, took one look at my face, and invited me in without questions. They burned my diploma, I said, accepting the cup of tea she offered. They what? I told her everything. The fireplace, the comments about smart women and terrible wives, the pressure to date Brad from the car lot. Dr. Walsh listened without interrupting, her expression growing more incredulous with each detail. Samantha, she said finally, what they did was abusive. Destroying your diploma was a deliberate attempt to undermine your achievements and self-worth. They think they were helping me find a husband. They were sabotaging your success because it threatens their worldview. But here's what they don't understand. Your education isn't just a piece of paper. It's knowledge, skills, and experience that no one can take away from you. She was right. They could burn my diploma, but they couldn't burn my PT. They couldn't take away my research, my publications, my job offer, or my future. What do I do now? I asked. You live your life. You take that job at NIH. You do groundbreaking research, and you show them that smart women don't make terrible wives. They make successful, fulfilled human beings who choose their own paths. 2 weeks later, I started my job at the National Institutes of Health. My new office overlooked the Bethesda campus, and I hung my replacement diploma prominently on the wall where everyone could see it. Dr. Martinez, my new supervisor, welcomed me to the team and introduced me to my research group. Dr. Reese comes to us from Johns Hopkins with exceptional recommendations, she told the team. Her dissertation on protein synthesis inhibitors shows tremendous promise for cancer treatment applications. As I settled into my new life, I realized something important. My parents had been right about one thing. My education did change my marriage prospects, but not in the way they thought. 3 months into my new job, I met Dr. Marcus Chen, a fellow researcher who specialized in immunotherapy. He was brilliant, kind, and genuinely excited about my work on protein synthesis. Your research could revolutionize how we approach metastatic cancers, he said during our first coffee date. Have you considered combining your protein inhibitors with immunotherapy protocols? I had considered it, and we spent hours discussing the possibilities. It was the first time I'd met a man who found my intelligence attractive rather than threatening. 6 months later, Marcus and I published a joint paper that made the front page of the Journal of Cancer Research. The headline read, Revolutionary Combination Therapy Shows 85% Success Rate in Stage 4 Cancer Trials. That same week, I got a call from Melissa. Sam, I saw the article about your research online. Mom and Dad saw it too. And? Dad framed it. He hung it in his office at work and tells everyone his daughter is curing cancer. What about Mom? Melissa was quiet for a moment. She's struggling with it. She keeps saying she was trying to protect you, but people keep congratulating her on having such a successful daughter. Maybe she's realizing that success looks different for different people. Maybe. She asked me to ask you, would you come to Sunday dinner this week? She wants to apologize. I thought about it. Only if she's genuinely sorry. Not sorry I'm upset, but sorry for what she did. I think she is, really. Sunday dinner was awkward at first. Mom had clearly been crying, and Dad kept clearing his throat like he wanted to say something but didn't know how. Finally, Mom spoke up. Samantha, I owe you an apology. What I did to your diploma was wrong. What I said about your education was wrong. Thank you for saying that. I was so focused on what I thought would make you happy that I couldn't see you were already becoming happy in your own way. Dad nodded. That article in the newspaper, seeing your name as the lead researcher on something so important. I realized I was wrong about your education. We're proud of you, Mom added quietly. I should have said that years ago. It wasn't a complete transformation overnight, but it was a start. 2 years later, Marcus proposed to me in our shared laboratory, right next to the equipment we used to develop our breakthrough cancer treatment. He got down on one knee surrounded by microscopes and research data, and it was perfect. Dr. Samantha Reese, he said, will you marry me and continue revolutionizing cancer treatment together? I said yes, and we had our engagement party at the NIH, surrounded by colleagues who celebrated both our personal happiness and our professional achievements. My parents came to the party, and I watched Dad explain to anyone who would listen that his daughter was developing treatments that would save thousands of lives. Smart women don't make terrible wives, he told Dr. Martinez proudly. They make extraordinary wives who change the world. Mom stood next to him, nodding and smiling, finally understanding that my success didn't diminish my worth as a woman, it enhanced it. At our wedding 6 months later, Marcus and I exchanged vows we'd written ourselves, promising to support each other's dreams and celebrate each other's achievements. During the reception, Mom gave a speech that brought tears to everyone's eyes. I once believed that education and marriage were incompatible for women, she said. I was wrong. My daughter taught me that the smartest thing a woman can do is pursue her dreams fearlessly, and the smartest thing a man can do is love a woman who dreams big. She looked at me with genuine pride. Dr. Samantha Reese Chen is living proof that smart women don't make terrible wives. They make brilliant wives who make the world a better place. 3 years later, our combination therapy protocol was approved by the FDA and has saved over 10,000 lives. Marcus and I have 2 research labs, 16 published papers, and a beautiful daughter named Elena who loves to help us in our home office. The diploma my mother burned is still gone, but it doesn't matter anymore. I have something better, a life built on my own terms, surrounded by people who celebrate my intelligence rather than fear it. And every time I look at Elena playing with her toy microscope, I know she'll grow up understanding that smart women don't make terrible wives. They make unstoppable ones.